What's up, everybody? This is the Jedi. I first want to shout out K.R. Watkins, also aka Aaliyah's big sister, or her mama, cousin, or somebody. And I also want to shout out my drive-by assassin shooter, my Sasser. I thank both of you ladies for your contribution to the channel, and certainly for the two pieces that I'm going to cover in this piece. Before I get into the information, you guys, I want to say this. It's clear to me that even if you watch a whole video that I produce, I'm aware just since I've been on Earth that people don't pay attention to things. I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. I can sit down and watch television with anybody, or a movie or something. I promise you, I've seen every single frame and heard every single decibel of audio on that, because that's my only focus. But sometimes people can start talking while they're listening to something. They don't realize they're missing something critical. If you're watching something on television, you could turn your head just for a second, even if it's just a cough, and you've missed something. I don't like that. I don't like that. And when that was turned on me, it's like most of my life, I was doing a lot of entertainment, even from a young age. And I would hate when I would show people videotapes or footage of something I've done, and I'm sitting there to share this with them. I'm watching it, and I see them not watching it. Or they're watching, they start talking, or they make a comment about something. You've just missed something. That gets me fighting mad, do you understand? Like, to the point of violence. Kill everything in sight. Why I'm mentioning that now is because I think that that's at play in some of the responses I get back to some of my videos. It's clear to me, because like I'll give you an example, and I hope I don't have to go to the actual comment. Well, I'm going to have to go to the comment. Damn it. Here's an example of what I'm talking about from Sandy Beaches. No shade, just truth. I told you, only thing we're interested in here on this channel, and the only thing I'm interested in life is the truth. I'm not concerned about feelings and emotions and opinions and not even my own. It's about what is the damn truth. And I'm never going to stop that, because when the rest of the world catches up with me, it's going to be a better place to live in. Trust and understand. So, this person, Sandy Beaches, says in my video about Stephon Clark's disastrous brother, she says, this is her first comment. Apparently she was, she was commenting as she watched the video. I don't mind that. That's fine. All right. Just when you guys do that, just know that I'll read all the comments, but usually I'll just make one comment back to, that encompasses everything that you said. All right. So in her case, I probably would have just, if that would be what I would do. All right, I won't sit here and read response to this one, leave response to this one, leave response to the next one. Like, come on. All right, anyways, but in this first one, she says, but Jedi, you said that his brother may have mental issues, but yet you went in on him. Being a black man, he may have some stressful issues, and losing his brother too. I think we all could be more sympathetic toward this family. Let's all be mindful of what we say. All right. Well, you're just wrong, Sandy Beaches, because you didn't listen to the video. Because maybe you were maybe you were already typing. You heard one thing and you started typing. Or maybe you listened to the whole thing, but you were distracted, or you coughed, or you said something to somebody in the room. I don't know. Fact of the matter is, you didn't listen, because what I also said in that video, while I was saying that, I said, but I can't give him a pass, because I said I've delineated between being retarded and just being off your rocker. I think that was the language that I used. So I was delineating between somebody who literally had mental issues and somebody that just was crazy. That was the first two distinctions that I made. Then I went on to say in my language, I said, but I believe, and I know for a fact, that God brings every soul that God sends to earth, he sends with right and wrong in your heart. That's your protection through life. That's your protection. So no matter what else is going on, even if you don't even become religious, or God forbid you don't ever become a Muslim, you still will know right and wrong in your heart. So you can never get around that. You see? So you didn't hear that. You didn't hear that. So I stand by what I said in my however long that video is. That yes, he is crazy as fuck, and he does need to be shut the fuck down. Period. And I almost did a second video on just him after I saw the funeral. In fact, I did produce that video. But what happened was some of the video clips I was going to play for you, the audio balance was off. I could have gone back and fixed it, but I had put too much time in it already. And the problem was, when I speak, you could hear me, but I need the balance to be such that if I'm playing a clip, that you can hear the clip too. And in this case, I could have achieved that, but the audio on the clip itself just wasn't loud enough. Any of the clips, quite frankly. They just weren't loud enough. Alright, so I ditched that video. So again, no shade to you, Sandy Beaches, but again, not just with my stuff, anything that you read or consume or listen to or watch, give it your entire focus from beginning to end. Don't turn your head, don't cough, don't blink, don't do shit. Just watch and receive that. Because it's a bigger issue than what I'm even expressing and talking about right now. This goes to great things. This is why 86% of my people in this nation are under that Christian vomit. Because you're not paying attention. You've not read. And those are the same people, as soon as you say something about that fake ass bullshit, want to try and come and type something, which nobody does that on my channel because they understand that I have the intellectual firepower to shut that down very quickly, and they don't even try me anymore. They're over it. Alright? Because they don't have anything that they can present. So you're in that because you're not paying attention. So I'm illustrating that as that it has many implications. Whatever you're reading, watching, listening to, or whatever it is, give that your devoted attention. I don't even like when I'm on the phone with somebody. If I call, even my sister, if I call my sister and she's out or she's driving, she's in the store, it doesn't matter. If she's not at home and I'm calling her on her cell phone, I don't want to talk to her because she's not receiving everything that I'm communicating. She can't. I can't expect that. That's not realistic. And no double standard. When somebody calls me, if I'm out, then I say, let me call you when I get home. I'm not trying to hold conversations while I'm just out doing stuff. Like, nah. Plus, I tell you, that's also noise to the soul. It's one of the many things that's noise to the soul. Not to the ears, but to the soul. And we think about centering and silencing your soul so you can hear the inspirations and the whisper from the universe. It does not come to a noisy soul. It doesn't. Creativity and brilliance happens only in silence. Remember that. Remember that. So I don't even communicate with people when I'm out or I'm busy or doing something. And if I'm at home and somebody calls me, then I go in the other room from the TV. I turn the TV off. I mute it, whatever. I'm just that person. I've always been that dude. I give anything my undivided attention. That's the only thing I'm focused on right then. Period. You never get a distracted dude when you're dealing with me. Won't happen. So let us put that down. Let us remember to watch and listen to every single thing that the Jedi is saying. And let us make sure we have listened to it 2 or 3 times if we're not sure about what we heard. You see, and then let us begin to type. All right. And also, Sandy Beaches, let us be mindful, quote unquote, that we put up a picture on our profile on the Jedi's channel. Otherwise, he will not type anything back to us. Let us be mindful. All right. Now, there's 2 pieces I'm going to cover in this, you guys. One is this, because, and I love you, KR, just for being responsive and listening and paying attention. And one of the things I said in the video that I did about the shooting at YouTube, which I also was planning to do another video on, because it turned out it was a white female, everybody, and they didn't know what to do with that. You know, and I heard the guy on the news saying, when the chick asked him, you know, what about what's the profile of these type of shooters? He goes, well, you know, we're not able to get real data on this, you know, which that was a flat lie. Later, then he admitted it's normally males, but he wouldn't say white, because we unfortunately aren't going in and shooting up the shit. If there's any group of people on the planet that you would expect to see this behavior from, it would be us. But alas, it's people with the least amount of problems on the fucking earth. So I wanted to do commentary on that, and then also just the fact that it was a white chick. But one of the other things that delayed me was because I wasn't hearing anything concrete about why she did it. Although I did hear the press conference, a little snippet, because they played it and then they cut back into regular programming like they were over it. But he said that she was upset about their policies and guidelines. Huh? If that's the case, it's going to be a whole lot more folks showing up at YouTube. Understand that truth. Alright? And like I said in my previous piece, I'm surprised it hasn't been more, or that it hadn't happened before. You know, I'm just surprised, because like I say, they're playing with people's livelihood. You know, there's people that this is their income. This is all they do. You know, like I'm sure the Advice show would throw himself from a moving train if they, because he was bitching even when they changed the monetary policy. I loved it. I loved it, because you've been sitting your fat ass up there doing nothing but preaching, and you got all this people in front of you, all these subscribers. Now you're supposed to do something. You have a responsibility, and you're not doing it. You're not. Where's their organization? You know, I did that rant video, and he was just one of many people that I bitched out. But I use that as one example. You know, there's people that are on here that are just here to make money, and they gear their language and their content and everything to that. They don't want to piss off massa at YouTube, because that could cut into their monthly funds. You see, I don't give a fuck, because I'm not here for money. I'm not here for popularity. I'm not here for bragging rights. I'm not here about feelings, emotions, and opinions, not even my own. I'm here to proclaim the fucking truth and try to wake my people up and try and deliver us to a place of liberation where we are finally courageous enough to act on our own oppression in this bitch. So I'm over it. But so again, like I say, you're gonna have people that are gonna do that, because most of the big money makers are white, because they can do anything and it's no problem. They can make you a death threat, and even if they're not a big channel, they can make death threats and they don't find any. And we didn't find anything that violates our guidelines, you know. But a black person just tells the truth about their white ass, and it's a problem, you know, for all humanity. I'm over it. Anyway, so I appreciate you, KR, because I had said in that video, I said, you know, and the other thing we should be thinking about is, what is this distracting us from? You know, what else might be going on? And then I went into, you know, it's usually on a Tuesday or a Friday, certainly at the beginning of the month, that they usually roll different things out on you. One thing that I didn't say that I wish I had said, there's also October surprise. That's not just a political term, that's real shit. Like if you look through history and you look at major events that have taken place here in this nation, you see a lot of that shit happen in October, you know. So but they associate it with politics, because October is right before November, and that's when you're gonna have the elections, and usually that's when your opponent will release some scandal on you, some sex scandal, or you are racist, or you know, some bullshit. The October surprise, this is where it comes from. But you know, you remember that even September 11th was on a Tuesday. You see, doesn't matter that it was in September, it was on a Tuesday. You see, so. And you could just put in, even with that event, you could just put in shit that's happened on September 11th, and you'd be surprised at shit that's happened on just September 11th throughout history. So that's why it was from that place of knowledge, again, knowledge converging, I always tell you about. It was from that place of knowledge that I even made that statement. And KR seized on it and said, Jedi, this is probably what's going on. And it really got my attention, because I didn't see a lot of news today, but I did hear that in between something that the Orange Circus is in Syria, you know, because they've been mostly, a lot of stuff they've been doing has been on the fact that this is the anniversary of the assassination of Dr. King. And you know, so I thought this is brilliant, 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 brilliant. So we definitely want to get into this. I'm going to do this one last just because I can get through that one quicker. The first one I want to go through first. That way I'll be pressed to get through it. And that's this. This is shout out to my drive-by assassin, my sasser. Because I didn't know about this, you guys, at all. So appreciate you, Sass. This happened back in February. And apparently there is a CDC scientist that went missing. And in scrambling to find out as much as I could about this before I came to present to you, I found out, one of the things I found out is that this has been a big story. Like, it's been covered on the Today Show and Good Morning America and Ahaha and down the list. And there's been other independent media and things that have done things. So it's a big story. And even this article is from 5 hours ago. So while the videos that I'm going to show you are from 2015, or from February, I'm sorry, this article is from 5 hours ago, you guys. So this is current. I've not read it, and I'm eager to find out what it's going to say to us. But the first thing I want to do, and I think I'm just going to do it in this order because I haven't read the article, and I don't know if this is the best order, but damn it, I'm doing it. I already found an inconsistency. First thing I want to do is I want to play just a portion of this press conference that the police there had. Then we're going to tell you about a little history on the CDC, some other shit that's gone on, and then I'm going to show you the inconsistency and tell you some other stuff about the CDC that I've learned. All right. First, let us go to this first clip of this Miss Thing, who's giving the press conference for the police now. There she is, Miss Thing. I'm working on my vocal, you guys, just because all the touring I've been doing, all the touring. But anyway, there she is. Now, I suggest to you one of the norms, is, for lack of a better word, that's not the word I wanted, but one of the usual shit with police is they always feel, because they always have this need to feel powerful. They're just glorified security guards. That's it. The only difference in a security guard and a police officer is security guard doesn't carry a gun most of the time, depending. You know, and they don't have as many powers. But why I mention that is because he is the police guy, but his tone is as if he represents the CDC. The press is there. They're asking him questions about the case. And I had to double check a couple times. I had to go back and look down under the thing like, okay, is he, yeah, it says police there. Okay, he's part of the police. Because I'm like, are you the CDC or what? So, because they always gravitate to, they want to be they by association. You know, just like you had a lot of police working for Suge Knight and Death Row. You feel me? They want to be attached to that. They love when they can be around celebrities. And so in this case, what's be more important to them is not working for the citizenry. No, it's the CDC, you know, and just that we're working with the CDC. They love that. They love that. I can't not take an opportunity to point that out. We're not going to hear all this because we don't need it. Here is the part that struck me. The first time it struck me was because the look that you're going to see on his face. The reporter just asked him, which is clearly a white devil, says there's a lot of crazy conspiracy theories. Like, they always put crazy in front of it. That's how I know it's a white devil. Because there's nothing wrong with a conspiracy theory as long as it's not Martians came down. Any other theory that is plausible, other than the vomit that's been sold to you by the government, is absolutely it's just as plausible as their bullshit. It's like the official story for 9/11. That's a conspiracy theory. Their official report is a conspiracy theory that there was a conspiracy of 19 hijackers that did 3 planes and hit all their targets and knocked down 4 buildings that day. Towers 1 and 2, Building 7, and the Pentagon. That's a conspiracy theory. When somebody else comes along and says, no, that's against all physics and everything else and aeronautics, that's a plausible theory. So it's not conspiracy theory in the way that they try to represent it. That's just a term that is used to try to squelch independent thought. So when somebody says that to you, you tell them, fuck you, and the bitch that gave birth to you. Alright? So the first thing I was struck by was the look on his face when the guy's asking the question. You're going to physically see it. But that also says to me, this is somebody who's not self-aware. I always know when I'm around people that aren't self-aware. They make certain gestures, they dress a certain way, they do certain things. You go, have you watched yourself like in third person? Like, he clearly hasn't. And watch the look that he makes, but also listen to what he says, because I'm going to contrast that to something else that I've learned. Watch this now. And remember, the reporter just asked him, you know, there's conspiracy theory, there's these wild conspiracy theories out there, blah, blah, blah. All right. And this is what Miss Thing says.
There's some pretty wild conspiracy
This look.
floating around social media.
Right.
Are you aware of that? And can you respond to
So we're very aware of the conspiracy theories, and one of the things that we were sort of asked to emphasize, certainly by the CDC, especially in reference to some of the rumors, is
One of the things that we were asked to emphasize by the CDC, especially in response to some of the rumors, is, go ahead, Miss Thing.
that Dr. Cunningham worked in the chronic disease unit, which is not the infectious disease unit. He had no access to classified material. He would not be the type of person that, you know, if you kidnapped him and held him, he could give you access to some horrific virus that could be a real problem for all the rest of us. He wasn't one of those people that works at the CDC. He didn't work in that unit. So they don't believe that his employment would be cause for something like that to occur, because he simply doesn't have access to those types of things. Now,
Stop there, big boy. Now, the CD is saying that he doesn't even have those acts. He wouldn't work in now. That's fine. That's fine. Thank you, Miss Thing. Now, I want you to hear something else that contradicts that. I didn't cue this one up, so I don't know. I can't remember exactly what point they say it, but when they say it, I'm going to definitely highlight that for you. Trust you're not going to miss it. But hear this now. This is a news organization doing, this is Parents. By the way, his dad sounds a little bit like James Earl Jones, Darth Vader. Appreciate the bruh. But, and that's his dog that he left behind. But hear this report now.
It's not the type of news you want to hear that your child is missing.
A Morehouse College grad earning a master's and PhD from Harvard University. As an epidemic intelligence officer, he's been deployed for public health emergencies, including Superstorm Sandy, Ebola, and Zika. On Monday,
Stop.
Atlanta police say...
Did you hear that? Let's go back.
Master's and PhD...
They tell about his accolade first. Wait, hear this now.
Missing.
A Morehouse College grad earning a master's and PhD from Harvard University.
Earning a master's and PhD from Harvard.
As an epidemic intelligence
Officer.
He's been deployed for public health emergencies, including Superstorm Sandy, Ebola, and Zika.
Hear that
Epidemic
again.
Intelligence officer, he's been deployed
Wait,
for
we're going to hear
public
that
health
again.
As an epidemic intelligence officer, he's been deployed for public health emergencies, including Superstorm Sandy, Ebola, and Zika.
Hear it again.
As an epidemic intelligence officer, he's been deployed for public health emergencies, including Superstorm Sandy, Ebola, and Zika.
So we're to believe then what Miss Thing just said. This he said. Remember, he prefaced his statement by saying the CDC wanted me to make sure I definitely mention this. But as far as there being an outbreak that would affect me or you, he wouldn't know anything about that. But he's a what? Say it again. Say it again.
Grad earning a master's and PhD from Harvard University. As an epidemic intelligence officer,
That's a $70,000 a year title at least. Come on.
he's been deployed for public health emergencies, including Superstorm Sandy,
Ebola, and Zika. See what I'm saying? Ebola and Zika. So I'm saying that's Zika them. I know it's some sister out there in the ghetto that's name their child Zika. I promise you. I'm over it. So that's a lie. That's a lie. That's a lie. That's a lie. But what did things say to us? Hear him again now. Let's hear him again.
There's some pretty wild conspiracy theories floating around social media.
Right.
Are you aware of them? And can you just respond to
So we're very aware of the conspiracy theories, and one of the things that we were sort of asked to emphasize, certainly by the CDC, especially in reference
We were asked to emphasize by the CDC. Make sure you tell them this.
to some of the rumors, is that Dr. Cunningham worked in the chronic disease unit, which is not the infectious disease unit. He had no access to classified material. He would not be the type of person that, you know, if you kidnapped him and held him, he could give you access to some horrific virus that could be a real problem for all the rest of us. He wasn't one of those people that works at the CDC. He didn't work in that unit. So they don't believe that his employment.
Just a second. Let's hear the last part of what Miss Thing said.
A person that, you know, if you kidnapped him and held him, he could give you access to some horrific virus that could be a real problem for all the rest of us.
He couldn't give you access to some horrific virus that would be a problem for the rest of us. But he is a what? Say it again, White Heifer.
Harvard University. As an epidemic intelligence officer, he's been deployed
Epidemic intelligence officer. And he was dispatched for Hurricane Sandy, as well as Zika and Ebola.
for public health emergencies, including Superstorm Sandy, Ebola, and Zika.
Ebola and Zika. But Thing just said, because the CDC wants me to definitely make sure my fat ass stresses this, that he would have had access to any of that. What I'm not bringing you in this video, just to be transparent, because it was just, I didn't want to do that much work, is that indeed recently there was a release of some major health scare that was supposed to be coming, that the CDC potentially knew about. I also want to say this in the middle of everything, because I don't myself, and I'm trying to encourage my people, stop with this scare tactic bullshit, everybody. You don't need no damn flu shot. You don't. To this day, do you understand what I do? I always look at my grandmama and my auntie, how they lived their life. But even that I wasn't on earth to witness. There was no flu shot when they was whatever. And they came through just fine. You also need to remember, just because something is deadly for white folks don't mean it is for us. Remember, we're the people of the sun. If they just stand in the sun, they could drop dead from melanoma and shit. You have to understand that you're not like them. You're not. Your biology is different. You definitely don't need to be getting no damn flu shot. What you need to do is be incessant about your hand washing. And watch how people are when you're out in public. Start doing this tomorrow. Just watch how many times people are touching their face, how many times they cough in their hand, how much they dig in their nose, and they do all the shit. Like, I'm somebody who loves to pick my ears, I love to pick my nose, I like to be able to pick my teeth, whatever, and I'm always touching my face. I am obsessive about washing my hands. Obsessive. Not one of these germaphobe people. Not like that. Just, I'm aware that I can't do any of that if my hands aren't clean. You see? And for brothers out there, and for sisters really, but I know y'all this would be heresy what I'm going to say to you next, because you can't imagine yourself without some fake ass nails. So, but to the brothers, keep your damn nails clipped back, homie. You see what I'm saying? Like, again, my grandma, they knew, like, as Muslims, we know, like, it's ordained that Muslim men, you're supposed to keep your nails clipped. But before I even knew what Islam was, just as a child, my grandma used to say, your fingernails is poison. Don't bite your fingernails, they poison. That's from the old way. You see? They didn't have the science, but they just knew you don't do that. Don't do that, because then you have nails. You think you don't wash your hands, but you got all this virus and all this other stuff up under your nails, brothers. And then you go to pick your teeth or something like this, or you shake a brother's hand and now his bacteria gets under your nails or whatever, and next thing you know, you're acid. Because there's a whole lot of, too many brothers I see walking around the fucking earth, and even in some of the YouTube videos, they got way too much snotting and snorting going on. I'm over it. That's not natural. It's not normal. And you could combat a lot of that stuff first by stop eating that fucking pork. That's first. Do you understand that at least 75 diseases are directly connected to pork? Did you know that? Did you also know that you can put a person, two people under a CAT scan? You can put a Muslim and you can put any of y'all motherfuckers under a CAT scan, a brain scan. The Muslim, the brain is a normal CAT scan. Yours, it's got little white speckles that look like a starry night. That's parasites from pork, homie. You cannot get around that, black people. You can't. You can't. So don't bitch about your medical conditions if you don't have enough discipline to do some shit about it. There's other shit on the earth to eat. Not only that, you call yourself a fake ass Christian, even your Bible forbids it. Don't give me that New Testament bullshit, because those people were on earth too at the same time as Jesus. They weren't. The whole New Testament is out for Muslims. It's out. If Jesus didn't say it or do it, we don't want to hear it. And the people on the earth that aren't eating that swine is the Orthodox Jew and the Muslim. Period. So, anyway, to get back to this dude. So, this dude clearly had access. But there's more. We learned also, because they say that, well, we're going to read the article and see if it says what I've learned in video. We're going to see what it says, because apparently there was a termination, not a termination, there was a denial of promotion. And a little more digging, and I'm actually going to link this video. Hold on. This video is 5 minutes. You should see it. I'm not using it only because I don't know who this news organization is. It seems like I don't know who they are. Anyway, it's only a 5-minute video. But this is important to this story because this also takes place in Atlanta. Now, when I first saw it, I thought that it was the CDC, because when I lived in Maryland and I worked for Xerox, one of my accounts was the CDC, homie. So I didn't know if this was the same CDC or not. But this is the CDC in Atlanta, all right? Which is also a learning moment for me, because I didn't know there was any more than one CDC. I know that. I mean, I'm sure it's one CDC, but I'm saying I know they had anything outside of Maryland, you know. So whatever. But this is important because this brother was turned down. He's only 35 years old or something like that. They said, you're not going to get the promotion. But there's other black people, and the person that's turning him down is a coon-ass Christian, of course. Of course. Of course. So, and they show him and then another supervisor dude in that piece, and I think that's worth you watching. So it's just 5 minutes, and I'll link that in the description box down below. Alright, it's relevant to this story because his thing takes place in Atlanta also. It's the same CDC. It's the same CDC. Alright, so now that brings us back to this now. And I also want to say, just real quickly, also something about semantics, everybody, because Miss Thing said to us that the CDC, in that part that he said the CDC wanted to make sure that he communicated to the press, he said that this brother Tim was in chronic disease, not infectious disease. That's a play on words, because HIV is an infectious disease. but it's also chronic disease because people aren't dropping dead 5 minutes after they've been diagnosed now. You see others that play on words. So something can still be infectious and chronic. Do you understand? Hepatitis is a infectious disease, but it's also chronic because they have stuff to treat hepatitis and even hepatitis C and all of it now. So I think it's very relevant to be aware of that. Like, that's just semantics, that's play on words. Remember, like, let's say this is from 5 hours ago. All right, Harvard-educated epidemiologist Dr. Timothy Cunningham had a lot going for him. Tim was always the golden boy, says a colleague at the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention in Atlanta, where Cunningham prominently studied heath patterns related to race, gender, and geography. See there? What did I tell you? I told you our biology is not the same as them, everybody. It's not. Stop with this, we're all the same shit, and stop telling your kids that. You're only reciting the shit the white devil has told you. We're not the same. Your skin color is supposed to let you know that. God was not just painting when he gave you melanated skin. He was letting you know you're something else. Just like a giraffe and a llama are not the same damn thing. Both very cute animals, but not the same thing. Alright. A horse and a zebra, not the same. Nobody's ever made the charge. Alright. So, he was doing heath patterns. I don't know if they meant health. I don't know. Related to race, gender, and geography. For his work, the Atlanta Business Chronicle featured the 35-year-old last October as one of its under 40 rising stars in the region. He expressed a strong desire to improve the health of others. Journalist Tanya Lehman, who interviewed Cunningham for his Chronicle profile, tells people, quote, "I was really impressed with his intellect and his passion for the work he was doing. Then, on the morning of February 12th, after telling coworkers he was going home sick, the unmarried scientist abruptly vanished." Well, let's read on. Well, wait. Okay, well, alright. Let's get through this. How long is it? Not much. Abruptly vanished. Alright. Left behind in his tidy yellow home was the dog he doted on, Mr. Bojangles, along with Cunningham's ID, credit cards, and passport. According to police, in this week's issue of People, his car was, according to police, in this week's issue of People, period. All right. His car was parked in the garage. His keys, wallet, and phone all were safely locked inside the residence. 7 weeks later, authorities and Cunningham's family members still have no answers and little to guide them in their search. This is an extremely unusual set of circumstances, Atlanta Police Major Michael O'Connor, that was Miss Thing that we just saw, said at a February 27th news conference. Every single belonging we were aware of was located in the residence. He added, It's not common in missing persons cases for us to find someone's entire belongings." Adding to the mystery are conflicting reports that something at work may have upset Cunningham. Police say he left the CDC the morning after his supervisor explained to him why he wasn't being given a promotion. And I'm sure that was that same black-ass coon. Something the CDC disputes. But I already caught them in one lie. In 5 minutes of research. You see? He was commended all the time, says a coworker who asked not to be named. Authorities say they found no sign of foul play, but also no sign of Cunningham. So it's kind of like a double negative right there. Like, well, it's obviously foul play if you ain't found him, like, and you found all this shit. says his neighbor Allison Latanya, everyone wants to know what happened. Okay, what it doesn't say in this article as well is that there's reports that he told his neighbor, why he told his male neighbor, tell your wife to take my number out of her phone. And that's unusual, but to me, I read into that as so that nobody can know that you knew me, or at least you'd be able to deny you knew me or something. Listen, you must understand, the government, and this isn't even secret, you know, especially for African people. I mean, white people will find this unbelievable, so they can just fucking go away and die. I don't give a fuck. But African people, we know that for over 40 years, they were giving African men syphilis in this bitch. And not telling them, using them as guinea pigs in experiments. And as one report that I saw pointed out, it's with the and maybe it wasn't regard to those women, the video that I'm linking for you, but isn't it ironic that this CDC is set up in Atlanta? But I didn't really give that too much weight, just because, like I say, I used to go to the CDC campus in Maryland all the time, and I hated it because we didn't have vendor privileges, so you had to park someplace else and pay your own parking, which luckily Xerox reimbursed you, but you had to walk all the way across that fucking campus. I cannot stand the CDC in Maryland. Can I just tell you that? As soon as I would see a call come up and it's CDC, my whole life would change. My entire life, I hated going to CDC to fix their damn Xerox machines. Hated it, damn it, hated it. Anyway. So, but the fact that he's in Atlanta with those women, and that this was he would have been exposed to the same supervisor, and etc., 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 because he had been told he was getting the promotion, and he had been expecting it, and it was kind of a known thing he was going to get it, etc. Then he was out that Monday, I think, or he was told on Monday that he was getting the promotion. Then on I think Thursday and Friday he had called out sick, and then on Monday he returned and was told, no, it turns out you're not getting the promotion, and then he had to leave work early or something. I may have my dates mixed up a little bit, but anyway, something to that effect. But the thing of it is also the rest of what I didn't play from the Miss Thing press conference, because we just didn't need it, was that they literally found everything, like his passport, his credit cards, his wallet, his cell phone, his keys. Everything was at the house. Everything. The only thing that was open was two windows upstairs. One was the bathroom window. The other one was like a laundry room. And they speculated that maybe he had those two windows open simply because the dog was in there, and but this has the stench of conspiracy for me, because it's not random. His car was in the garage even, so that means he was taken. A dude that successful, if he was going to do something to himself, he's going to drive away. Nobody leaves their car keys and their wallet, and certainly nobody leaves their cell phone in this day and age. People just don't leave their cell phone nowhere. They just don't do it. It's like an appendage to their body now. They can't dare be anywhere without their damn cell phone. I'm over it. I walk out the house in a minute and leave my cell phone and be like, I'm not going back in the house to get the damn phone. I'm over it. So this will sound like foreign stuff to white people, that there could be a conspiracy because they need to believe that their government is not the biggest liar on the fucking earth, because by extension they know that incites them because they just like their government. No difference. They're the same people, just one's in one position, one isn't. A snake is a snake no matter where you see it. You see one in Idaho, you go, oh my god, it's a rattlesnake. You get to Alaska, oh my god, it's a rattlesnake. You get to fucking Hawaii, oh my god, it's a rattlesnake. You know what I'm saying? You get to New York, oh my god, it's a rattlesnake. It's still a snake. Still a rattlesnake. Nobody goes, oh, that one's different, but that one's different though. But that one's different. It's the same rattlesnake. So, it's the unthinkable for them to believe that their government could do anything. But once you install Obama, then the government's capable of everything. You know, the government's doing this and the government's doing that. Because then because at that point to them, the entire government is Obama. You see, I can't. So yes, based on the lie that I illustrated very thoroughly, they've at least then shown that they have something to hide. And when you have something to hide, then that means consciousness of guilt in my book. Because why would you, and you heard Fatso say, the CDC wanted me to stress this. But then I just played you the clip that said he was I'm not going to play it again. I can't remember it. That he was the it dude that you would call for something like that. No, he wasn't a part of any of that. He wouldn't have had access to any of that. No. You know, not only was he part of that, but he's the dude they dispatched for Hurricane Sandy and Zika and Ebola and everything else. This guy knew something. He knew something. Because the other thing, with those women that I showed you, they're all approaching a certain age. You know, like they're over the hill, basically. And their main complaint is like when they went in for their raises or whatever, or things like that. And the dude was like, you know, how many more years are you going to work, you know? And they're like, I'm planning to keep working, you know. So, in his case, he's only 35. So, by default, he wouldn't have been in that class with them. But still, he's still an African. And even though it's Atlanta, you're still an African. And even though the CDC is in Atlanta, and you probably got more black people working there than you would have in someplace else, fact of the matter is we don't run the fucking CDC. And those are all Christian folks, so they're going to be the get along with massa types. So it's probably a lot of things that they all know that they don't ever tell, because they want to keep their job. And the black Christian will definitely do that shit, because they've held us back for all these many centuries. They haven't stopped. They're not going to. So, what was different about him? Well, for me, putting one and one together, it would be that he's a sensitive employee, meaning because of the type of jobs that he had and his status, that makes him a sensitive employee, you know. So, now, he's supposed to get a promotion, and he's not going to get it. Now he may or may not have been disgruntled, but he's one of our sensitive employees, i.e. he knows a lot. And this is not anything new. We've seen all kinds of people go missing. History is strewn with scientists and doctors that came up with things or knew something. You know, there was an African American dude that there was this sister, her back early in the days of the first beginning of AIDS and HIV, her daughter had HIV/AIDS, and she took her to the doctor, and they gave her like a suitcase of medicine. Somewhere before the daughter took a single pill, she learned about this brother, went to him. He had some kind of a goat's milk concoction with something else and something else and something else. And the girl, when she went back to the doctor, they're like, oh my God, you're responding to the medication so well. Your numbers are amazing. And after they said that, that's when the mother pushed that whole suitcase of bullshit across the table to them and said, my daughter hasn't taken a single fucking one of these pills. That doctor immediately came up, mysteriously vanished. You see? Because money is the god of this white devil. You have to understand that. You have to. And so you have big organizations. Just like whenever you hear them whining about gun control, it's never going to happen. Because the gun lobby has money. And money equals power to this white devil. Not intellect, morals, and principles. No. Money. You're immediately in a different class when you have money. You're the biggest jerk, biggest asshole, worst thing that ever lived on earth. But now you have money and you're amazing. That's how they have structured their society. You immediately become amazing. So, damn, I just lost my train of thought. I know somebody listening to me that knows exactly where I was at, and I don't. Damn it. Oh, and the pharmaceutical companies. Allahu Akbar. All the pharmaceutical companies. It's money and power. Period. On Capitol Hill, the powerful people, first is the Jewish lobby. That's first of all. Then under that, you have your gun lobby and your pharmaceuticals. And then everybody else from that. So they will say anything and they will do anything that would threaten those profits. You know, ask yourself, how many people out there have chronic illnesses or something like that? You know, like I remember my grandma, you know, before she passed and stuff like that. And they have to get their medication every month. But then but then they tell you don't keep your medicine past a certain point. You think that all the medicine you fucking getting has just been produced in the last 30 days? I don't fucking think so. They have warehouses of the shit. Warehouses. They just tell you that so that you continue, so the insurance continues paying for it, and you continue paying your copay or whatever you got to pay, and blah 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 blah, and they keep that drug mule running. You see, every time I go to my doctor's office, if anytime I see it's any doctor's office, I presume now, but you always see these people come in with these little carts behind them, and I always go real loud. I go, there go the drug dealers. There's the drug dealers. It pisses them off every time. They come in their little Chanel skirts and all of it, and their little fucking Ferragamo heels and all the bullshit, and here they go, and like prissy. I'm like, nah. Or some of the dudes, they be in like the suits, and I'm like, oh, they go to drug dealers. Because ain't no difference in you and Tyrone on the street. So I'm saying, he's going direct to customer, and your ass is going through the fucking doctors. Same thing. You're dealing drugs. Don't play with me. Don't ever do that. So, I think this guy probably knew something. And even if he wasn't going to say anything or whatever, just that he was a sensitive employee because of his position and the things that they dispatch him for, and they went out of their way to make sure that the police emphasized, no, he wouldn't be a part of any of that, is an absolute lie, and I've proven it. So, they could have gotten paranoid and said, we have to neutralize him. And with such haste that they didn't even, and so maybe he was going to go directly to the media or something, because this seems like a hasty thing. It's actually sloppy, because if it was going to be hasty and not sloppy, they would have made it look like, you know, somebody would use his credit card, or at least the wallet wouldn't have been there, and the cell phone would have been gone, and the key, the car, and all that. But all this was there. And his house was tidy. Everything was good. That sounds like somebody got to him and got to him immediately. Like, let's get to him. You know. Maybe he felt something. Maybe he didn't even say he wasn't feeling well. Or maybe he did, but they knew that he was leaving for a different reason. He goes home and immediately goes up missing. The CDC is in on this shit. I don't care what nobody's going to tell me. The CDC is in on this. They're in on it. And I'm sure they have dark suits that do things because, you know, these are the people that are behind most of the chemical warfare on the planet. You know, they're the ones who came up with AIDS and all of it. Well, that was really the Army. But still, I'm sure they worked in some degree with the Centers for Disease Control. You know what I mean? Because the government commissioned the Army to come up with a virus that would selectively destroy the human immune system. Selectively connotes your black ass. You see what I'm saying? Selectively destroy the human immune system. That means your immune system is not like the white devil. That's why. Because we're not doing any more or less screwing than them. And probably, well, maybe. I don't know what I'm saying. But the fact of the matter is HIV/AIDS is not a venereal disease. The CDC doesn't even classify it as a venereal disease. It's not a venereal disease, everybody. It's biological warfare. So these are the devils and demons. And like I say, you can be a part of a conspiracy and not know it. So there's people that work at the CDC and maybe they're just a secretary. Or they work in a lab but they clean up. Or they do this or they do that. You see what I'm saying? So you can be a part of something very evil and have no idea. You know, I forget how many thousands of people they said worked on the 2 atomic bombs that were dropped on Japan, on Nagasaki and Hiroshima. But there was literally a handful of people that knew. Even the pilot that was flying the fucking plane didn't know what it was all about. You can be a part of a conspiracy and not know you're part of it. Have no idea. Have no idea. And that's easier to do now because people are doing what? Those 3 words that I hate so much, or however many words. I'm just doing my job. I hate that phrase. Anybody that says that should be punched. Especially when what you do negatively affects others. You don't get to say that. Because you don't get to do that job anymore. I'm over it. So, I feel like I want to devote more time to this, but I'm not going to. Again, thank you, Sass. Appreciate you, my sister. Yeah. Sass will roll by and drop something deep on your ass. And then I have to do all this damn work. I'm over it. Love you, girl. So I want to deal with this other piece from K.R. Watkins, because I think that this is prudent, and I think it's absolutely accurate. Because you know that before Trump was elected, he was saying, well, he has a real problem with China, but he's like passive aggressive with them. So he'll talk for 5 minutes, and if you just came in on that, you think he absolutely hates them and would want to bomb them the next day. And then 2 seconds later, he's saying, "But I love the Chinese. They rent apartments in my buildings. I charge them a lot of money, but they rent apartments in my buildings. And I love the Chinese. I love the Chinese." But he's just the incarnation of what we already know, the forked tongue of the white devil. The forked tongue. The forked tongue. So. And I was just telling this to my nephew. We were on the phone early, and he was saying something. Where was he at? And I can't remember what he was doing. But he was saying, I wanted to ask you, Uncle, what you thought about. He was asking me about is making a profit a crime. But I don't think we were still talking about that at that point. Anyways, he's asking about Fort Knox. And I was like, there is no money at Fort Knox. It's a joke. And I was telling about how the Federal Reserve, how when Nixon was president, he went on TV and said, we're over that whole, backing our money with gold stuff. We're kind of over that. We're just, and then the Federal Reserve just had free reign to just start printing money out their ass. Like, our money is not backed by anything other than just that it's supposed to be valid just because we say it's valid. And then we install puppet governments, and we bully those that we can't puppet, etc., etc. But in that conversation, I mentioned China. I said China's one. I always hear them saying, China's manipulating their currency again. They're manipulating their currency. See, because China got their own fucking currency. Because everything on this bitch is made in China. So screw you. We don't need your American dollar. We don't need it. We'll allow it. It's a big difference. It's a big difference. And so, like everybody else on the planet, just like our brothers and sisters in South Africa are now going and snatching white devils off their land, everybody is over white people. I.e. America, because you can interchange those 2 terms. America equals white people. They know it and they say it. We want our country back. The true America. The real America. That all connotes white people only. When they connote the founding fathers, they only cling to that because it was white people. But those are all murderers and slaveholders. Everybody that was here was not white. And they systematically murdered and maimed and genocided away 130 million native people that were here. So they don't have claim to anything. This is another extension of that. So when you just read the headline, China's military tells Russia, we've come to support you against the U.S. I love it. I love it. I love it. America's day is at hand. I just pray I live to see it. And I pray that I'm in Africa watching from a free Africa that has run this white devil off the continent and watch it be destroyed from afar, because they've done and continue to do so much evil. Most of the world would almost be willing to just let it go if they weren't continuing with the shit. Even when they tell us we need to get over it, we would have gotten over it if your ass weren't an eternal devil. If you weren't continuing to provoke and pick, maim, murder, incarcerate, and kill, we might have been over it. But you have kept it going. You've done that. Nobody can let it go. So yes, China should join, goddammit, Russia. We're going to find out what it's about now. China's military leadership has pledged its support to Russia as tension between Moscow and the West further deteriorate into diplomatic isolation, economic sanctions, and dueling defense drills. In his first visit to Russia, and you notice white folks are real silent about Trump now. Real silent. You need to bring his ass up and indict them whenever you get a chance. Because they never shut the fuck up about Obama, bitch. And he was a righteous man. And you got this psychotropic orange circus up in that bitch now. And suddenly they've all gone silent. Nah. Burn their ass whenever you get a chance. Never let them rest. In his first visit to Russia, newly appointed Chinese Defense Minister Wei Feng attended the 7th Moscow International Security Conference accompanied by a delegation of other high-level military officials, emphasizing that his trip was coordinated directly with Chinese President Ying. I don't know. Wei said he had two major messages for Russia at a time when both nations were attempting to modernize their armed forces and strengthen their hand in global affairs in spite of U.S. fears. Stop there. Wait now. This is Newsweek, everybody. Notice they said, we said he had two messages for Russia at a time. Now, he had two major messages for Russia. They haven't given the quote yet, because there's no quotations. So they're just still pontificating, you see, and telling you. So that's why they're able to insert this bullshit here when they go, at a time when both nations are attempting to modernize their armed forces. In other words, they're inferior to us. Are you serious? Listen, to this day, some of the best toys you're ever going to get in your life are made by fucking Chinese people. Do you understand? And the Japanese. Give me a break. You want me to believe they can't? Come on, dude. I'm over it. Plus, they hold America's debt, allegedly. So, you telling me they didn't ask for no arms in that? Come on, it's not real. They try to make you feel this is for the white reader, everybody, and the ignorant everybody else. Especially at a time when both trying to modernize their armed forces, because that's what the white people were going wrong with. Well, their armed forces aren't as good as ours. Russia would lose to the U.S., so would China. They'd lose as they drink their fucking Budweiser beer in the back of their fucking pickup truck in fucking Alabama. I'm over it. And again, that wasn't a quote, so that's added by the devilish-ass writer to modernize their forces and strengthen their hand in global affairs in spite of U.S. fears. I'm visiting Russia as a new defense minister of China to show the world a high level of development of our bilateral relations with firm determination of our armed forces to strengthen strategic cooperation. Now that was a quote. And that's an intelligent dude. I gotta read that again. Damn. I am visiting Russia as a new defense minister of China to show the world a high level of development of our bilateral relations and firm determination of our armed forces to strengthen strategic cooperation. End fucking quote. I'm done. Can I get you some tea, Ying? Can I just... Someone say, by the way, y'all got a, like a little, I don't know, like a, pots and pans set or something from China that I could just, I feel as though, dude, I want to ask too much. I ain't want to eat the eggs. Tasha didn't want to be the eggs. They had to ask me the eggs. Anyways, Y said, I guess I'm saying his name, Y said at a meeting with Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu, I'm over it, according to the state-run TASS Russian news agency. Second, to support the Russian side in organizing the Moscow International Security Conference, the Chinese side has come to show Americans the close ties between the armed forces of China and Russia, especially in this situation. We've come to support you, end quote. He added, quote, the Chinese side is ready to express with the Russian side our common concerns and common position on important international problems at international venues as well, end fucking quote. I'm over it. I love this so much. Yes. Yes. Okay, look, Wing, or whatever your name is, I think it was Wing. I think it was Hot Wing. Was it Hot Wing? I don't remember, y'all. I couldn't read it. But is any way y'all could I get like a little ticket or something like that? You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to go to Ghana. So Ghana, West Africa. I don't know if you'd heard of it or whatever, but I'm just, maybe y'all could just get me like a little cruise ship or something. Just maybe just you get back to me if you need to. Just if you need to, feel me? Just Russian President Vladimir Putin. That just sounds like a name to not fuck with. Like, Vladimir is coming for you. Like, oh shit, hide your ass. Russian President Vladimir Putin and Chinese counterpart command, and his Chinese counterpart command what's often considered the world's second and third most powerful armed forces, respectively, behind the U.S., while the Pentagon has managed to retain a comfortable lead against its leading competitors. Moscow and Beijing have coordinated closely as they both aim to close this gap and check U.S. influence abroad. I love it. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. Got the white devil on the run. As Russia showed off its military prowess by declaring victory in the Syrian conflict and boosting its military prowess across Europe, China has invested its international infrastructure projects, especially across Asia and Africa. Yeah, because our people have thrown out the white devil on much of the contracting, because just like what they did with the Indians here, everybody, they had over 400 treaties with the native people that they never lived up to. You can't believe what fucking white people tell you. They've shown that. Like Dr. Mangelo said, when somebody shows you who they are, believe them the first time. So they abrogated every single treaty they had with the natives. That's first. Then, certainly in Africa, they go with the fake grin, the Christian vomit, and they lie in the face of our people. They finally woke up to that and said, no, that's why we do business with the Chinese now, because we get a better deal with them, and you're just more honorable, and we just don't have time for your white ass, and get the fuck out of my face, you know? So yes, they're expanding across Africa. In fact, it's even the Chinese that are in charge of the light rail system that's going on all across Kenya. You feel me? Like they are a little salty with their stuff too, because they bring their own people. Can't really hate them for that, but until we get off our ass and say we are one Africa no matter where we are, and we return home and everybody work together. You see? I can't do, but let me make sure I mention this. There are independent nations in Africa, everybody, that aren't run by anybody other than Africans. Let us understand that. So Africa's not like this total fucking, welfare case that somebody's got to come in and help them all the fucking time. No. And they've been decimated by colonialism and this white devil for so long that some things they just need help at. They just have to. They just have to. Doesn't say anything about the capability of our people. You know, some of the best engineers on earth and doctors and scientists come out of Africa. Know this. By the way, most of them tend to be Muslim. Just need to add that. And expand its presence in the Pacific. Both countries argue they are looking to work with and not against the U.S. And I also want to say to that point about Africa, about there being countries that are independently run and so forth by Africans. I was struck by something that I saw the other day. I was watching a documentary on Lionel Richie, and they were showing clips from back when they had done, there was that big push, USA for Africa or whatever. And I think it was Lionel Richie or some other celebrity that said, because, I mean, these people don't even have running water over there, and this, that, and the third. And I gasped because it again, it's one of the things like something can be right in front of you, you don't see it. And I didn't see it then. Didn't think it, didn't know it, didn't anything. But that whole USA for Africa, it dawned on me that everybody here in this country, unless they knew something else or had traveled and they, blah, 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 thought that that was just Africa. And I don't ever remember them specifying a particular country in Africa that was all supposed to be about. So then him, or I think it was him, making that statement just perpetuates the ignorance and and one of the many, 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 many misconceptions about Africa. Especially for people who don't understand that it is a continent and not a country. I thought about that. I was like, and I just was like besieged by gloom in that moment, Wow. Wow. Anyway, both countries argue they are looking to work with and not against the U.S. But Washington has viewed their rise with suspicion. Because again, you can come with the pure intention, but as soon as you're going to be greater than them, they automatically get nervous and defensive and shit. Immediately. This is why they're holding the rest of humanity back. Humanity's never going to get anywhere as long as these people exist. Certainly if they're in power. If they just exist, that's one thing. But running stuff, we can't have that. We can't. We can't. Because it's in their statement right there. It says both countries argue they are looking to work with and not against the U.S. But Washington has viewed this rise with suspicion and has taken countermeasures against perceived challenges to the international order. The international order means white devil running everything. It has traditionally dominated for decades. You see? In addition to boosting, listen, they're going to have to give in to somebody eventually. Eventually. Rome didn't fall in a day, but goddammit, white people's day is going to have to end very soon. Because people are waking up and they're over it. They're starting to realize, you know what? It's their asses playing games with everybody else. It's them. It's them. Even when they come on here and talk about, it's the government that's trying to get us to turn against it. No, well, you are the government. That's your cousin them working up there, your granddaddy and all them. So how does that, excuse me? Act like they some different rattlesnake than you. In addition to boosting its own military power in Europe and Asia, the U.S. has portrayed growing Russia and Chinese influence abroad as an assault on democracy. Wow. So basically what they said, so while America's beefing up its military power in Europe and Asia, like getting ready for a fight, they're saying that the Russian and Chinese influence abroad, and instead of it just being white people influencing everything, Russian and Chinese influence is a threat to democracy. The West has singled out Russia especially, accusing it of interfering in the 2016 U.S. presidential race and other foreign nations. And I'm surprised how people just jumped onto that as if it was the law of Moses. Like, I never believed that. It sounded like a prank that somebody would even say that people didn't just laugh out loud. Well, the Russians interfered. No, bitch. The Democrats were so obsessed with trying to steal their fucking election from Bernie Sanders, who clearly had the support of everybody. And everything that I said is exactly what happened. They were so obsessed with that, instead of just blaming their ass, it's the Russians. No, nobody wanted Hillary's sniper fire ass, and people wanted Bernie Sanders. So when you finally kept killing it off for Bernie, and then he actually gave in at the end trying to be a good guy, we were over it. But for the fact that Trump was a white devil, I probably would have voted for him. Just because I was pissed. Not because I thought he would have done a good job or anything like that. Just I would have been pissed. I was pissed off enough that I would have done that. You see? Don't give me the Russians that interfere with the damn elections. It didn't happen. Because what does that mean? Nobody stops and thinks. How do the Russians interfere? They go and take American citizens and make them go and vote for this fucking orange circus? It doesn't pass the smell test, everybody. Washington has also charged Moscow with being behind cyber attacks and physical attacks, including the poisoning of ex-Soviet intelligence. Fuck anything Washington says. We're over it. We're not even reading that. The nerve attack. They didn't do any of this shit. This is all white devil that do this shit. Nobody else does this stuff except for white people, and they blame somebody else. When asked about the global reaction to the case, Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesman Jing somebody urged, quote, that the relevant parties shall sort out the facts behind the Skripal incident at an early date and properly resolve disputes based on mutual respect and equal-footed consultation, end quote, during a regular press conference Tuesday. All right, the international community is challenged on so many fronts today. Cold War mentality and group confrontation is the last thing we need. We should all work together to preserve world peace. Now, give me a break. You can't do that. Because most people, everybody else on the earth would be fine with that. The only people causing disruption for all humanity across the fucking earth is white people. So you're never going to have harmony. You're not. You can't, because they don't like that. They can't deal with that. They're not a people that they've shown their whole history is nothing but conflict, conquering, murder, and genocide. We should all work together. And now I'm over it. We'll work together after we got our revenge on your ass. How about that? See if you're still singing that song. You see, they can sing that song because they're in the position of perpetrator, you know. Blah, 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 equal justice and win-win, quote, I'm over it. Russia has also suggested the U.S. or the U.K. may be the true culprit behind the attack against Skripal in a bid to frame the Kremlin. Russian Deputy Foreign Minister Alexander somebody told the Something 24 station on Thursday that the Skripal affair was used in order to tighten the ranks of the European Union and NATO, which loosened lately, and to inject another portion of Russophobia ahead of the West military alliance's Brussels summit in July, TASS reported. In response to Wee's visit, his Russian counterpart also stressed better relations between the two countries, which once formed the world's largest and most powerful communist alliance before falling out in the 1960s. Yeah, again, they use that word communist, everybody. It's supposed to be a scary word. You need to look it up. I'm not going to give it to you. You know, look it up for yourself and understand. You know, it's just like when Bernie Sanders was running, they were trying to make him out to be a socialist. Well, yeah, you want a fucking socialist society if you're taking taxes out of my fucking money, and every time I go buy a fucking Snickers, I gotta pay a tax on it. Every time I do anything, I gotta pay tax and fees, tax and fees. I'm not just handing my money to you just because you ain't gonna do shit for me. I'm supposed to get return on my investment. Period. Yes, we want a socialist goddamn it society. Yes, we already have it. That's why you have Social Security. That's why you have welfare. You see what I'm saying? That's why we're paying the government. You give them. You're paying Congress. And they're on welfare essentially. They work for the American people. Don't give me this socialist bullshit. Don't do it. Don't even do that. But they use words like that and communist alliance before falling in the 1960s, with both Putin and Xi having been re-elected last month. The two presidents have successfully consolidated power in their respective countries. Thanks to the efforts of the leaders of our countries, the ties between Russia and China are now reaching a new and unprecedented level, becoming an important factor in ensuring peace and international security, Shoigu said, according to the Russian Ministry of Defense. So this is good news in my regard, everybody. I want to see America get its ass tapped. I'm sick and tired of white arrogance, and then they this dumb act like they don't know what white privilege is, and they don't know that they're the problem on the earth and all this shit. So then fine, we'll grant you don't know it. So then you got to get your ass tapped, and maybe that'll wake you up. You see? That's how I feel about it. So this is good news. I don't know Putin, and I don't know Yi, or we, or whatever his name is. But anything that threatens this bitch, I appreciate it. Because I believe that some in life that's it. Don't tell me you're one of these people that, you know, somebody's been throwing Molotov cocktails at your house since you were a child, and then all of a sudden you realize, even you didn't do it, you realize that they shit got burned up the night before. Are you gonna weep in the streets for their ass, or are you gonna be dancing on their grave? Come on, don't play with me. Don't do that. Don't ever do that. So, again, a shout out to my Sasser and to K.R. Watkins. And just a general note to everybody that whenever I can, you guys, I try and go back and I start at the bottom of comments and just start working my way up, you know. So you might have left something 2 weeks ago and you like, oh snap, the Jedi finally answered it, you know. But I just try and go as I can. But I want you to know I read all your comments. I do. I do. I'm very good about that. So if you leave a comment, don't think that it didn't go unseen, you know. And you know, people that have had their comments deleted, they definitely know that. But I am doing the very best that I can. So I just wanted to share that with you. I thought it would be prudent to share that. So excellent pieces, ladies. Excellent, 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 and thank you for your vigilance. I appreciate it. And yeah. So let's follow this, you know. Let's follow this. Let's follow both of these. You know, I think there'll probably be more on the Cunningham, Dr. Cunningham, because you know, they didn't say there was any resolution on that his body was found or anything like that. So if something else is known, let me know. But we should watch this China-Russia thing too, you guys, because, and not so much what they're doing. We want to watch what they're doing, but you definitely want to watch what America's doing. You definitely want to watch it. And you can't see it as government. You got to see it as cultures. You see? You have to see it like that. I still got people bitching about Obama. You just don't understand how American government works. I'm so sorry. Any black person still bitching about Obama just doesn't know anything about American government. And you definitely don't know anything about this white devil. You don't know anything about your enemy, your environment, your condition. Because you will understand that the president in this country is, first of all, a figurehead. They got to throw a little bit of red meat so they hope that the whole populace doesn't come and attack the whole, you know, attack their shit. But at the same time, it doesn't matter who's in the office. There's certain things that they have decided and decreed that this is America's position on whatever it is, including your black ass. So it doesn't matter who sits in the chair. And certainly if you're a black man sitting in that chair, you got a black nutsack sitting in that chair for the first time, and they already told you, we're going to say no to everything that he does. This was before Obama was even inaugurated. Whatever he says, we're saying no to it. But you throw that out. That doesn't fit your narrative. So you waddle in your own vomit. All right, everybody. This is the Jedi.
We are in a race between education and catastrophe.